let's talk about level design. I know nothing about level design. You can probably tell with levels so far being expertly modeled after a pancake with cubes on it. The original concept for the game was inspired by Blade and Sorcery, where you'd just be fighting little arenas. The current levels reflect that, minus the walls. Unfortunately, this is boring, and I could get into 7 billion principles on making levels more interesting, but I've always been a fan of one simple trick. Verticality. Level flat, level bad. Level up, level down. Level good. Verticality. I still like this small scale arena approach as I'm trying to keep scope very minimal, so I tried putting a bunch of random shapes together at different heights. I tried designing the level layouts around larger areas where combat would be concentrated and multiple connections to flow between them. My logic here is that I like linear progression, but not linear levels. Imagine flat, bad level. With enemies randomly everywhere, the player is moving around constantly, backtracking and going in circles to mop everyone up. Having tested this, it's not very fun. Alternatively, consider a more linear level. Now, there's a very clear sense of direction. I actually tried this first and wasn't very happy with the results. There's very little decision making for the player, and it feels like they're funneled through the level very strictly. I added a secondary section to it, which you can see here, but it didn't work very well, as you have to go out of your way to get there and then backtrack again. It was also kind of flat. Flat bad. We like wrinkles. Which brings us to the final solution. It's still an arena, it's still kind of round if you think about it, but now it's also fun. It's quirky. This turned out great for flow, linearity, and decision making. If we spawn a group of enemies at each of these sub-arenas, the player can choose any number of different ways to traverse the level, since everything's connected, but also keep encounters very progressive, as the areas are distinct enough you can properly complete it and then move on. Verticality especially helps here with additional one-way paths between arenas, and by path I mean jump. You can get from here to here, but not back. So basic decision making is also integrated into gameplay, which is great because there aren't really any wrong decisions, so the act of making a decision in itself is rewarding. As part of this shift towards verticality, I realized the player was kinda slow. So I made them faster and gave them movement. But this is not a movement shooter. The player already had an ability to push themselves around with their sword. I just made it stronger. So now you can do this. This. You can also dash, which was originally meant for dodging attacks, but it helps with movement too. The block out is nice and all, but these are just random, questionably colored, primitive shapes, so it's time for some flair. I had the stone pillars and stairs from a previous project, but I wanted something more interactive, so I got to work on some props I could scatter around the level. Cobblestone patches for floor variation, bushes and vines that make silly little sounds when you move through them, and these pots, which are smashable by the way, because they have to be by law. Common knowledge that the main aspects of making a good game are the following questions. Is it flat? Are the pots smashable? If you can't satisfy these questions, bad game. I've made 3 levels following these principles, and I gotta say I am quite happy with the result. They're nice to look at, fun to move through, and surprisingly ambient. Gameplay is another issue, but that's something we'll tackle in the next video. That's about it. Thanks for watching. I hope this video gave you more wrinkles. Also, we're at 150 subscribers, which is like crazy to me. Like, there's no way over 150 of you are willingly sitting down and watching these videos. I'm convinced I entered a fugue state and set up like 1 million alternate accounts. But anyway, thanks for everything. Stay wrinkly.